So Mark Davis has just sold 15% of the Las Vegas Raiders. Excellent, excellent news if you're Raiders fans. And I've been an advocate of this, of the moment Tom Brady signed on is really the beginning of the end for Mark Davis. I feel like slowly his ownership over the Raiders will slowly deteriorate over the years. This is a great, great move. Obviously, Mark Davis is definitely at the bottom tier of the NFL owners right now, and the quicker the Raiders can kind of move on from him eventually is the quicker they'll actually have sustained success in the NFL, and that's long overdue for the Raiders. At least in my lifetime, they've been pretty awful. Back with John Madden, of course, and Marcus Allen is when they had their last historic years in the NFL, but 2000s and above. I know they made the Super Bowl, but got blown out against the Bucks in 2001, 2002. But besides that, pretty awful last 20, 24 years in the NFL for the Raiders. Not a lot of success at all. But like I said, this is the start of something good. There is some light at the end of the tunnel for this organization and Raiders fans. So I take this as a win, especially with how the season has gone. There's not much to really celebrate in that department, but at least off the field, you got a little win, Raiders fans, so I'd enjoy it, seriously. Silver Lake Co. CEO and Endeavor Board Chairman Egon Durbarn and Discovery Land Company founder and chairman Michael Meldman each bid separately to acquire 7.5% of the stakes in the Raiders. So that's where it will be going, the 15%. And yes, Mark Davis is still the controlling owner of the Raiders, and I expect him to be the controlling owner of the Raiders for probably maybe 4 more years around that. Maybe the timeline will speed up a little bit depending on Tom Brady. But I would really circle the 4 year mark because that's when Tom Brady's contract expires with Fox. And I really feel like he is doing that gig and that contract to really be able to pay and get more ownership of the Raiders 4 years from now. Because off the top of my head, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments, but his contract with Fox is 400 mil, I believe. So almost half of Billy. That's pretty crazy, and I totally expect him to use a large sum of that money to acquire more ownership of the Raiders in the future. But like I said, I'd circle that 4 year mark. But until then, Mark Davis is still going to be the owner, and who knows, maybe Tom Brady will be in Mark Davis's ear a lot more. I'm sure Mark Davis has a great relationship with Tom, and I'm sure he highly, highly respects him. So who knows, maybe Mark Davis will make some good decision making with working with Tom Brady. But then again, we don't know if Tom Brady can really run a team yet. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks that aren't really the best GMs or the best coaches. We'll see if Tom Brady's Hall of Fame career can really translate to being a good owner. We'll have to find out, but at this point, I think anything is better than Mark Davis, and you kind of got to trust Tom Brady. You kind of got to give him the benefit of the doubt. The dude knows talent. How will he apply that to actually acquiring good players and running a good franchise? Time will tell, but I mean, he's the GOAT. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Mark Davis reportedly made this move because he wants to become more liquid with his stakes with the Raiders. And, Tom Brady currently owns 10.5% of the Raiders with Richard Seymour. And, it was reported that he signed off on that move because he wants to get their knowledge and information. So it's definitely heading in a right direction for the Raiders organization. And, brighter days are coming. Brighter days are coming. The reason why Mark Davis wants to make his stake more liquid is because the Raiders franchise has gone up in value significantly since they relocated to Las Vegas. Being in Las Vegas compared to Oakland is self-explanatory. Just a lot more money coming in and out of that franchise. And not only that, but the Raiders are a pretty iconic team. So they have a lot of fans all over America, and it's always been that way. And plus, he's getting up there in age. I'm sure he wants to just, I don't know, maybe ride off into the sunset with a lot of extra chunks of green in his pockets. So we'll have to see if he continues to keep selling stakes of the Raiders. And let me know if you guys like this move. Do you want him to sell all of his ownership right now? I'm sure every Raiders fan would want that to happen, but you know, patience. One day he will be fully gone, but you guys let me know if this news excites you at all. So for the Raiders present, they actually have a pretty big offseason in my opinion. First things first, they will get rid of Antonio Pierce at some point very soon, and with that, they really have to get a good head coach in there. With a division like Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Andy Reid, I don't know, man. I feel like you just have to get a solid culture players coach in there. For them to hire someone that's as smart as the three coaches I just mentioned is kind of unrealistic. Those are some of the top coaches in the NFL right now, if not the very top. So it's unrealistic for them to hire someone who could really match up with those three guys. So the next best thing is to really hire a guy that could reset the culture, a guy like Dan Campbell. You know, when Dan Campbell first got hired, nobody liked that move except for some Lions fans, but really the media had a field day with that hire, and of course his famous press conference of him talking about biting off kneecaps. They need a guy like that. They need a gritty guy like that. And you know, Tom Brady, first off season as being part owner, he does have a relationship with Mike Vrabel. So that's definitely a guy you gotta be hoping for if you're a Raiders fan. And who knows, man? If they throw him a fat contract like they threw John Gruden, what was that? Like a 10-year, $100 million contract? How'd that work out? But just throw that to Mike Vrabel, man. Maybe not that ridiculous, but just throw Mike a solid bag. And man, if the Raiders hired him, I think that'd be a huge W for the Raiders. I'd be pretty excited if I was a Raiders fan if they hired Mike Vrabel. But you guys let me know who you want the Raiders to hire. Do you agree with me, or is there some other name out there that you would rather see the Raiders hire? You let me know in the comments. If you made this far, please subscribe and help out your boy a ton. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
Hester's going to take this one from the 30. Gains 16.
Hester's such a great athlete. You got to find ways to get the football to him. Here's another way to get it to him. On a punt return, how explosive is he? Man, that's the answer.
The Broncos stalled on their last drive, forced to punt. So now the offense comes back out onto the field.
Yeah, they're coming back out. They lack confidence, and I understand why. They came out, couldn't get anything done. The defense was flying around, making the plays. They got to change the tempo of this game.
Back here, ready to start the second quarter. And a key now is going to be which offense is able to break through first, Phil.
I don't know if these offenses can break through, Jim. I think it's going to, we might end up seeing scoring on the defensive side before we see it on the offensive side. It's been tough sledding for these offensive players. What a good job by the running back that time. He reads the blocks very well, and he picks his way through there and picks up a first down. That's nice.
First and 10. Anderson's handed the football. Second down here. The Broncos are at the line of scrimmage with a spread formation. They'll send it back to the quarterback out of the gun. Latimer. He's tackled beyond the markers. It's a first down. That's his first reception today.
If you want to stop big pass plays in the NFL, play cover 4. But what it doesn't stop is these short passes underneath.
First down and 10. Anderson's taking the handoff.
Good job of the defensive line standing